Welcome to Her Hoop Stats, your all in one place for any information you need for every level of women's basketball. I am Helen Williams, and I get to be with one of our new colleagues, Marisa and Jimmy, women's sports reporter. So, Marisa, this is my first time with you, and I'm excited.
Yeah, hello. Thank you for doing this with me today. This is super fun and second time back here, so I guess they didn't hate me the first time.
Yeah. We're gonna keep you. We're gonna keep you. um, so yeah, we are recording this on Wednesday, the 25th, after a great weekend of games. Everybody's talked about stuff ad nauseum. We're going to talk a little bit about stuff too, with just our point of view. Um, but a disclaimer: if you guys hear me or see me sniffling, it's because the pollen is out and eyes
That
are
time of year.
watery, and I've been sniffling all day. I refuse to even bother to wash my car because it doesn't make
Uh,
any difference if I keep it in the garage or out. The pollen still gets on there. So
where are you
I'm gonna
based out of?
apologize. In Georgia, in Atlanta.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it gets pretty bad a couple times a year, and
Yeah.
so apologies in advance for the sniffling, people. That's the only reason I'm sniffling. Um, so yeah, so Marissa, I thought we would chat about just start off in terms of games that are coming up. There's a lot of rematches
Yeah.
that are coming up, and I am extremely excited about. And I wanted to get your point of view on which one interests you more.
Good question. There's a lot because there's a lot of conference matchups we're finally getting. I think UCLA, Minnesota. I'm not worried about UCLA there. I think that Duke LSU is going to be really fun. Oklahoma's impressed me generally. I don't really see them challenging South Carolina too much. I think Kentucky, Texas might be like a sleeper. I'm really interested to see how Kentucky and just like their defense and their prowess over on that side of the ball um, handles Madison Booker and all of them at Texas. I think that could, and also it's hard to beat a team multiple times in a season. I like Texas, but I do think that game is going to be very competitive.
Yeah, I once had a coach who was talking to her team in pregame, and she said, "Yeah, everybody says it's hard to beat a team three times." She goes, "But
Mhm.
only the teams that lose say that." So,
That's so real.
um, you can look at it from both points of view. But yeah, I think Texas. I mean, this will be a game on the inside, right? Big
Mhm.
against big. Although Kentucky has the advantage with Tiana Key being able to shoot threes, so can
Yeah.
she? Pull Oldacre and the rest of those players out and make a difference in terms of that. But yeah, I'm excited. I South Carolina, Oklahoma is really that one really interests me
Mhm.
because they've got a chip on their shoulder if it's possible for a national championship caliber team to have a
Yeah.
chip on their shoulder. And Dawn's probably happy there's something that she can point to is to see you guys didn't do what you were supposed to do. So I'm really interested. I have a feeling they're just going to go in there guns blazing, and it'll be interesting to see how Oklahoma handles that. I know
Yeah.
Chavez had a great game the last time they played, but this is a little different. This is
Mhm.
this to get to the Elite Eight, and there's experience versus somebody who hasn't been there yet, who's a very confident player, and I'm sure she'll play well. But I think they'll probably have something for Aaliyah Chavez, so going to
Yeah.
be interesting.
It just you can see the chip on their shoulder for South Carolina, the way they've come out in their games so far. Like they are mad they did not win the SEC. And I think they're a little bad too that they're being like a bit overlooked between like all the talk of like who should have the number one seed been, UConn or UCLA, and South Carolina probably didn't have the resume to get there, but like they're a team that definitely has the talent caliber to be there. I have a personal policy. I don't pick against Don Staley as much as humanly possible. Um,
I
if
don't either.
if there's any situation like I don't believe in picking against South Carolina almost ever, but I think I mean it kind of looks like a couple of years ago when people were kind of overlooking South Carolina a little bit again. They have kind of like that ensemble cast, right? Like they don't have that. I don't know. I mean, you look at like UCLA, and obviously they have like the five potential WNBA prospects. UConn has
Right.
Sarah Strong and all that, and South Carolina just has a bunch of really solid players that have been there. They understand the moment. Dawn understands the moment, obviously. I think people are not talking about South Carolina as a serious championship contender enough.
Yeah, and I think they have improved in terms of adding more players to the rotation from the beginning of the season, and I
Mhm.
cannot wait to see Raven Johnson on Aaliyah Chavez. Like that's going to be
Yeah.
a really really good matchup. So looking forward to that. And then Duke is a totally different team than they were
Yeah.
at the beginning of the year when people
Mhm.
were so upset. It felt like our Olympic team was going to suffer because Duke lost 4 games in a row or whatever. Obviously handled hard better. And I think it's going to be a different game. I was listening to another podcast today, and they made an interesting point about Flaugier, and whether or not she could be the woman when it was time to be the woman, because she's
Mm.
always been, second or third option. When they won the national championship, she didn't have to be the first option. And like this is a game where I feel like, and I agree with all the pundits on the podcast, is she needs to really show up big and have everybody else follow her this
Yep.
time. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's true. You look at LSU, I mean, they have what 16 games of 100 points or more. Like they can score like crazy. I mean, I guess their strength of schedule was kind of questioned earlier on, but they've just
I
been.
was I was one of the ones that questioned it,
Listen,
and
I've been an LSU doubter all year. Like
Helen, shut up! I'm winning my games. Helen, shut up.
I've been an LSU doubter, but the numbers are the numbers, and it's like pretty incredible what they've been able to do. Um, I don't know, Duke just feels like they're peaking at the right time, which is like so cliche and annoying, but I've just loved the way that they've played lately. I think that defensively they're really solid. Toby Fortier is just like a star. Um, I think Flaugier is going to have a really big game and really kind of carry that LSU team because Duke's going to be so prepared. Kara Lawson has her teams ready to go. I love her strategizing. I love her game planning. I think that it's going to be a really competitive game. I think LSU will win. I think they just I don't see them being stopped quite yet, but I do think that I don't know. I don't know if we've seriously evaluated Duke as like a legitimate Elite Eight threat enough yet.
Interesting. So I go to Duke's length
Mhm.
giving LSU problems,
Yeah.
and because not only are they long, but that length can move laterally.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
not. I mean, you see Toby Fournier sometimes switching on people on the guards and playing on the perimeter
Yeah.
and doing a great job at moving laterally. So that'll be something interesting for me. So I mean, I picked Duke. By the way,
Okay.
just like everybody else, my brackets on the men's and women's side are trash and
Yeah.
tattered.
I am I
um,
went all in on Fairfield and I was really wrong.
well,
Um
I knew they'd give them a close game, and kudos to to Coach Tebow for Dudanis for everybody's still coming after her with all these job openings, and she continues to tell them no. It'll be really interesting to see what job she actually takes when she eventually leaves. But I digress.
mhm.
Yeah, I felt like that they would give a really good game, and yeah, so I didn't pick them, but I felt like they would give a really good game.
I had a feeling like I don't think I picked Ohio State to win at any point, or have them go to the Sweet 16. So I had Fairfield beating Ohio State. And a lot of it
Wow.
is just 'cause, like I had no confidence in Ohio State. So like I feel vindicated that like okay, Notre Dame beat them. But at the same
Why
time,
why
I
did you not
really
have confidence in Ohio State?
I I mean, they haven't gotten past that round of 32 in a long time. I
Okay.
kinda need to see it. It's kind of the same reason I won't pick UCLA to win the national championship because I need to see Corey Close do it. I need to see a little bit of proof. Also, just watching Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, I was out there covering UCLA, and I was just like, the way that Cambridge got shut down by a team in UCLA that like they're not known for their defensive skill. Like they're a good defensive team, but like that's not how they win games for the most part. And the fact that they were able to just key on that one player and shut her down, and Ohio State really didn't have any answers, it made me worried about them facing consistently tougher competition.
Yeah, and great segue. Kudos to Notre Dame,
Mhm.
um, doing what they do. All the people that said that Neil Ivy should be fired. Yeah,
That was always crazy.
take that. Um, but yeah, I think it's going to be that game against Vanderbilt is going to be one of the ones is
God.
definitely for me appointment viewing with
Yeah.
with Michaela Blakes. with the human defensive highlight, um, um, player. I think this is a game where I really think strategy is going to be key. Like,
Yeah.
I really think you're gonna have to really play chess and not checkers in this
Great
game with
coaching matchup.
yeah, with Hidalgo yeah, not just Hidalgo and Michaela Blakes, but the great, coaching matchup. So I'm really by the way, if anybody wants to contact me over the weekend, I'm not answering. I'm not answering the phone. I'm not answering text messages. I am ensconced like I was this past weekend with my food and my different screens. So don't even bother.
Amazing.
But yeah, I think that's gonna be a really, really great appointment viewing game.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot, and I'm guilty of this too, talking about like, oh my God, Michaela Blake, Sarah Strong kind of coming up on that bracket. But before we even get there, and if we even get there, we have Hannah Hidalgo, Blakes. And I think that's just I mean, when you get to this point of the tournament as it is, it's just like star after star facing off against each other. But I think Blake's stock has just risen so considerably this season. Like she's one of the best scorers in the country now, and she's an underclassman and just absolutely dominant. And then you have a player like Hidalgo who's like been on this stage. She's someone who is a WNBA prospect. Everyone believes she's going to go pro. She's good at both sides of the ball. I just think that's going to be such a fun matchup to just kind of look at these two different, very different elite players.
Yeah, and greatness is shown when they know you're going to have the ball in your hands, and they
Hmm.
know you're going to be the one to make a play, and you make it anyway.
Yep.
I mean, Hidalgo is just, she's paper thin, a wisp of a human being. Um, but she's so fast and so unpredictable and so confident and wants the ball in her hands. That's the mark of a true superstar. And the
Yeah.
same with Michaela Blake. You know she's going to take a shot. It doesn't matter, you know.
Hmm.
That's a sign of a great player. So I'm
I'm glad
really
people
looking
are
forward to
seeing her stardom now too. Like I feel like last
yeah,
year we were talking about her a lot, but like the fact that Vanderbilt was like ranked, I think at one point this year number is 3 or 4. The fact that they've had kind of like this stage and that they've had that escalation in the rankings and now they're on in the Sweet 16. Like I think some people are going to be introduced to Michaela Blake for the first time this weekend. Some
yeah.
people will never watch her play because Vanderbilt just hasn't really had that national stage. And I think people are going to be really excited to see someone who's like kind of like that next one of the next stars of this level.
Yeah, and kudos to athletic director Candace Story Lee because people are like Vanderbilt, but football, men's basketball, women's basketball, she's really made an investment. Obviously, an alum of the school, and you can see that showing. The additional investment in women's basketball. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I think everybody wants Shay Ralph against her former
Gino.
coach, but
Yeah.
yeah, you got to get through this game first. So I think
Yep.
that'll be an interesting game.
And also, gimme. I'm impressed by Notre Dame. Like I said, I had them
Yeah,
losing to Fairfield.
I
Um,
just yeah, I was never one that said that they were going to be terrible and call. In fact, I said just they'll figure it out. I don't know how she's going to work it out, but I know they're going to work it out. Same thing for Duke. So I'm not surprised that they did well, but I am surprised that they did well. If that
yeah, no,
makes
that makes
sense.
sense. They're kind of similar where like I needed to see it a little bit.
Yeah.
Now that I've seen it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm impressed. I think that I mean, what's that spread in that game's like 5.5? Like that's gonna be a really competitive game and people expect that.
Yeah, and it's I said this a couple weeks ago. I think that coaching staff has wrung everything you could out of every player that they
Mm,
have. Now they've got a great recruiting class coming in next year, but they've gotten everything out of the players that they play, and that's the part where I talk about chess versus checkers, being able to have such a short rotation and still get what you need
mhm,
out of those players.
mhm. I think
Yeah.
it's interesting just kind of looking at some of these now. I was wondering if that was the, lowest spread at 5.5, but actually, Louisville, Michigan's only 4.5, and I think that's fascinating.
Well, I have Michigan in my Final Four. Call me
Really?
crazy, but yeah,
Wow.
I have UConn, South Carolina, Michigan, and UCLA. And
Hmm.
I always like to. I don't know. There's something about Michigan. Now I may be wrong, but I keep saying they are due for a big win, and now's as good a time as any. you
Yeah.
know, for that big win. And yeah, I mean, we'll see with them playing Louisville. Louisville also is still constantly underrated
They really
no
are.
matter where they go, like people just and I'm sure Jeff likes it because then he can just keep a chip on the shoulder for the team, and he can keep yelling at him for not doing what they're
Yeah.
supposed to do. But I think they're just constantly overrated. I think still McKinley Randolph is not talked about enough. Her development from
Mhm.
last year to this year, becoming a key part, making key plays at key times for Louisville. But it's not fancy, you know.
Yeah.
It's like her dad. It's just like workman. Like just go do what they need for her to do when they need for her to do it. And unless you're somebody who appreciates that kind of thing, I don't think she or the Louisville's being talked about enough.
I agree with that. I've watched a lot of ACC basketball this year, and I've kind of been waiting for like, when are we going to talk about Louisville? Why do you have Michigan in the Final Four though? I'm curious because they are a team that I like, but also they're young. They're very inexperienced, and that concerns me.
Because they played some, I mean, they were this close to beating Connecticut. I mean, they had 3
Yeah.
top games where they were just right there and they just couldn't get over the hump. And I just this is a coach's gut feeling. Now, I
Okay.
might be wrong. I'm not going by any numbers. I'm not going by any stats. It's just I feel like they're due.
Going by
Now,
vibes.
whether or not that shows this year or next year, I just feel like they're due.
I
They've got great. Their top 3 players are great. They've got a decent rotation coming off the bench, getting enough of a contribution. They've been 2 or 3 shots here or there, within beating some big time teams. So
Mhm.
I don't know if they're ready for prime time. I feel like they are. We shall find out. But
See, I see Michigan as like a top 5 team next year. Like
excuse
like,
me.
I see Michigan as, like, a top 5 team next year.
Oh yeah,
Like, I think
yeah,
that's a team that next year they're gonna be, like, real contenders, but, like, I don't know, maybe I'm too risk averse, but I'm just like, I need to see it a little bit. I don't know. I've I'm back and forth on who I even have in this game. Like, there are some worlds where I'm just like, I think Louisville just is kind of, like, ready to be that girl, and then somewhere I'm like, I think Michigan's more talented. Um, I don't know, I think that's gonna be one of the more fascinating games, because I don't think they played each other this year. So, like, that's one of the ones that we don't know that much about how they're gonna match up.
yeah. I think Louisville is extremely talented. What concerns me about them sometimes is mentally they check out.
Yeah.
Not for long periods of time, but for long enough that they put themselves, in a hole and have to dig themselves out. And
Mhm.
not very deep holes, but deep enough, that it has cost them some games in terms of execution. So the talent level that's not the issue. It's
Mhm.
just, and that could be experience, that could be any number of things. But they're going to have to be on their P's and Q's for 40 minutes and not have those lapses if they're going to beat Michigan. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, we shall see. We shall see
Mhm.
where that goes. Who you got in your Final Four?
Um, Good question. So I have
Are
th
you are you changing it as you look at it?
no, I do
You
3 brackets.
hesitated, Marissa.
I do
Oh, see,
3
I only do
brackets.
one. I only do one. I only
I
do
do
one.
one with my brain, one with my heart, and one of just, like, vibes, insanity, like, I just am gonna kinda throw stuff out there.
Okay,
The 2 ones that, like, I'm sticking with that are also doing terrible, by the way, I just have the top 4 seats. Like, I have trouble
you went
seeing
chalk.
I
Okay,
went chalk. However, in my vibes, I don't know, gut feeling, instinct, I have a feeling one, I have Louisville instead of Texas in that
okay,
one.
all right. And the
But
numbers? Your
huh?
third one? Your third one?
Yeah, that's in my wild one, which has almost
Okay,
everything wrong because I keep picking upsets, and there
okay.
haven't been that many upsets. In my brain bracket, I did pick Virginia to beat Iowa. I did have
I
that one. I believe that one
okay.
in my heart.
Let's talk about as our producer extraordinaire BMAC on the ones and twos. Virginia Rella coined that. Dude, you better trademark that. Um, I will say that I was wrong about Virginia. I
Mhm.
felt like they were good. I just wasn't thinking that they were ready for prime time, and I was so
Yeah,
wrong on that. So kudos to them for again another program that when you invest in the program financially, you get results.
yeah,
And kudos to Coach for doing the job that she's done with her staff. I didn't have them beating Indiana, but they went in there and they did what they needed to do. They are a team that is full of grit. I will say that.
Mhm.
You can see it in the way that they play. You can see it the way that they're coached. And Iowa didn't. They didn't do what they needed to do on their own
Iowa
home
hasn't
field.
been ready for a few weeks now. I got
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. It's I mean, obviously losing McCabe hurt them a lot. I'm not sure they just had the depth and the grit. I don't know. I had them like pretty low in my poll and everyone gave me a pretty hard time about it, but after
You
watching
know those
them
Iowa fans, man. They are
I know.
ten,
And like
10
I was
toes down.
watching
They're
and
ready
people
to
don't want to
fight.
hear it. And I'm like, I get it. I understand. Like be mad at me, whatever. Um Watching them lose by 51 points to UCLA, I was just like, this team ain't it. Like there's just something off here. Even after the game, the urgency just like didn't seem to be there. So when I picked Virginia to beat Iowa, it was more about Iowa than it was about Virginia specifically. I figured like, okay, I think Arizona State's like a pretty decent team. And I was like, okay, Virginia's
Yeah.
gonna beat them. I like the way they match up with Georgia. And then if they get to Iowa, I don't know. Like I just had a gut feeling. Um I didn't think Farley Dickinson was gonna be a problem for them. As soon as that happened, I was just like, oh, I feel like very vindicated now. I think it was just like, okay, I see it. I don't know. I just feel like that Iowa program, this wasn't the year. And like, I had one bracket where I had Iowa winning and I had TCU beating them. I didn't have. I have my crazy bracket. I had a Washington going to the Sweet 16 because I really like Washington. I really think they play hard. I like Eladine. I think Avery Hobble was playing really well. And I thought there was like a chance that they could challenge TCU, and obviously they did. They almost won that. And then I was like, oh, if they beat TCU, I could really see them being a problem for Iowa potentially or Virginia. So I feel good about that Washington pick, even though it didn't go anywhere. It was close enough where I feel like validated. But that side of the bracket's really weird because I mean, I think we've all talked about like South Carolina kind of got the easiest draw here. Um, and I think that's true just because I think Iowa was the weakest two seed. I think TCU is a very good team. I think they are a team that can maybe challenge South Carolina, but they're so up and down. They're so unpredictable. It's so
If
hard.
they're hitting threes, they're up, and if they're
Yeah.
not hitting threes, yeah, they
I have
they
trouble locking
struggle.
in on them. Like, I could see a
Yeah,
world where TCU like goes in and has a great day and beats South Carolina. I don't think that will happen. I could see a world where it could, but I think when TCU is on, they are that level of a team, but I just don't know if they're going to be.
yeah.
They're the most
There's some
confusing team
constants
in the
there. Yeah, there's some constants there, obviously, with Olivia Miles,
yeah.
and then from there, the consistency wavers depending on who, what, when, and where.
I
So,
watched Marta
um,
Suarez play at Cal the past 2 years, and she was in such a great role with the Bears, and just
yeah,
seeing her elevate her game this year has been, like, so fascinating and so cool to watch, but I also don't know if she's a true number 2 on a team like that. I don't know. She might be. It's kind of late in her career to be hitting that point, so we'll see.
yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see with Virginia when they play TCU. So you've been out. You were there for the LA games. What was the vibe like? What was there anything that intrigued you more than anything else about the teams, about the environment?
Yeah, it's interesting because Corey Close has, like, kept saying they want to thrive, not survive. So then when they're up by 10 points on California Baptist in the first round, like obviously there's a little bit of panic. And I don't think anyone thought they weren't going to win that game, but I think the slow start, it looked a little bit like their slow start against Washington in the Big Ten quarterfinal. And I think there was a little bit of a concern. And then they turned it on. And then their next game against Oklahoma State, I just think that was a good matchup for them. Oklahoma State's too small. And Lauren Betts just did what she can do and take over. I think it's interesting UCLA has like, I mean, you look at UConn too, but like UCLA has arguably the deepest starting lineup in the country, and then even going into the bench when you have Dugalich there.
Six
And
WNBA players.
yeah, like 6 players who are going to be at training camps at the very least, especially now that there are like developmental roster spots and all of that too. Um, and like hypothetically, you have a bunch of different players that can take over a game. I saw Ledger Walker do it for Washington State so many times. Yaquez has had some incredible games. Kiki Rice, when I mean, she won the Big Ten MVP. But I think it's fascinating that when push comes to shove, Lauren Betts is still that girl for them. Like they still need her to be on her game. And I think that's a good sign because I don't think there's anyone else in the country that like does what Lauren Betts does specifically as well as she does. I've watched her career since she was a freshman at Stanford, and something that's impressed me a lot watching her a lot this year has been just like her mid-range shot has gotten better. Like you have to respect her almost anywhere she is on the floor. And that just kind of like spaces things out for so many good three-point shooters on a UCLA team too. So I just think if Lauren's going to be playing like that, I think they have a chance. And I mean, it's hard because, like, again, I really do need to see UCLA do it before I'm gonna like pick them for real. And I have trouble
Yeah,
picking against.
I picked him to win the whole thing.
Well, see, like, I see the vision there. I see it like at first, like when I was first processing the Oklahoma State game, I was like, oh, it's kind of concerning that you still need to rely on Lauren Betts when you have all these other players who go cold. And then the more I've sat on it, the more I've thought of it, the more I've been like, that's not going to happen every game. You're going to have a Ledger Walker game. You're going to have an Neepkins game. Even like against Oklahoma State, Neepkins had consecutive three pointers at the end of the third, and that's all they really needed to pull away. And I'm just like, man, if you do have like someone like Betts who can be the most dominant player in the country, um, I kind of see the path for you. And they've had the hardest bracket too, I think. Not having to play Ole Miss is such a huge win for them. I think that would have been a really difficult game. And still, they have a very difficult bracket. They're going to have to play LSU or Duke if they beat Minnesota here. That's going to be very challenging. And then, of course, Texas, if they get to that point too, that's the only team that's beat them this year. What's different about them from the last time they played Texas, though, is Sienna Betts is here, and she looks really good off the bench. Just seeing her confidence since I think it was the Ohio State game in the Big Ten semifinal, just seeing the way her confidence has gone up, and just like she's like, I don't want to call her mini Lauren Betts because she is her own like player and does not need to be like in relation to her sister specifically, but like what she does is so similar too. And you can just see her becoming that player too. So the more I sit on it, the more I'm like, yeah, I think UCLA could win a title here.
You're gonna come around, Marissa.
I'm
You're gonna
I'm
come
I'm
around.
I believe in him more than I did at any other point.
Well, and it sounds like as you're talking to me, you're trying to convince yourself. But
Yeah.
here's the thing with Lauren Betts, she's a point guard because when the
Mm.
ball is in her hands, people have to make adjustments.
Yep.
You guard her one on one, she'll take you to the basket. You bring two people, three people over, they've got as long as she makes the right pass and she does make intelligent decisions.
Yep.
So there's where the difficulty is. Yeah, let's say you do stop her, but at some point you do need to go inside to her. The
Yeah.
question is where and looking at the matchups and things like that. So it will be interesting.
Yeah.
I do think they'll meet Minnesota. Great game for Minnesota with Mississippi State, but with
Mhm.
Mississippi, but you're not at home in the barn,
Yep.
and I think that'll make a difference for them. So we'll see. We'll see. Any other storylines that intrigue you for coming up on this weekend's set of games?
Um, I'm interested if Virginia can have. I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but just like if they can hold on and have a competitive game with TCU, if they won, obviously that would be nuts, and that would be like kind of the story of March. But even like if they're competitive in that game, I think thinking about that team's future is going to be very fascinating. So like I have an eye on Virginia. Um, but yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see do we go chalk because I think that's kind of the expectation, and there's little pockets of possibility for that not to happen. I think LSU UCLA would be a really tough game. Again, there's a world where I have Louisville beating Texas, so I think it's going to be interesting to see like do we just go chalk, and if we do, like what's the narrative around that?
Well, and kudos to the ACC, Louisville,
ACC
Notre
isn't dead.
Dame, Louisville, Notre Dame, Duke, North Carolina, who we didn't even mention.
Oh, yep.
Am I missing one? Yeah. So, and then got to give Clemson some credit. They almost made it. So
Mhm.
the ACC is not dead, and obviously it's going to be interesting to see how the teams do. So,
Yes.
that's it for today. Make sure you go and follow us on all the social media sites. We're here 5 days a week. Go to our site if you're into numbers and you want to go down a rabbit hole. The Her Who Stats site is great for that. But
God
Marissa,
knows
it
I do
was
that all the time.
I try not to. I give myself a finite amount of time to be on there before I just start going down a rabbit hole. But I always try to find numbers to back up my gut feeling. So anyway, Marissa, great being with you. We're
Yeah.
so excited that you're with us and going to continue to be with us. And that's it for today, everybody.